Okay, and we are live. Welcome to a new episode of All Things Xbox Podcast. Once again, I got Logan with me. Logan, how are you doing this week?
Oh, I'm doing great. This is a new age, a new week, a new year. Just life's going great. Have lots of funny memes in the timeline. Been playing a lot of good games. Like life overall's looking pretty good over here. How about you across the pond?
Still sick, getting there. I've, I have to say, I've probably ranted about this like the past 2 weeks or something. Bronchitis is not fun. Uh, so like, if anyone gets it, try and get antibiotics straight away. Don't think, oh, you can stay in the house and it'll be over in a day or two. Nope, 2 months. But outside of that, it's been good when it comes to gaming. It's actually a really exciting time for gamers and Xbox gamers because there's games around the corner. There's tons of stuff out at the minute. There's a bunch of new Game Pass announcements which came out today, which some really cool games there. And honestly, I think like after the past, year or so where people have been arguing online about everything, it's actually a pretty good time to be a gamer. Like, if you really think about it. Anyway, we have a lot of topics to talk about today. Logan, what have you been playing this week?
Man, I've been playing a whole smorgasbord of stuff. I finally got into Indiana Jones. I've been playing a ton of that. I wrapped up the Vatican for the most part. Like I can revisit and get some of the last relics or two and finish the Fight Club.
Yeah.
But for the most part I did everything. Absolutely loved it. I was rolling in the floor laughing at that confession scene.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the funniest, like, and just pure, like, that felt pulled directly from one of the films. Like, like, I was already like, man, Troy Baker has nailed this, but that whole sequence was just chef's kiss. Like, okay, yeah, he is Indiana Jones now. Like, going forward, he's, pun intended or not, blessing, he's the guy. Like, that was incredible. The side quests in this game alone are just fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And they add so much to the story to where it's almost like, how is this a side quest? Like, how could you justify skipping this? Like, I get you'd get like the Spark Notes version of the story, but like I would recommend that anybody playing this game do the side quests. Like these aren't like for the most part there are a few frivolous things thrown in there as tasks, but for the most part, these side quests are really important and they really add context to things and background to the story and the characters. Like, had I not done some of the side quests, I'll be light on spoilers. Like, I wouldn't have known who this major character was who shows up later in the Vatican sequence. I would have been like, who is this chick? Like, where
Yeah.
did she come from? But and then instead I'm like, oh, okay. And then your characters have built rapport and like you know who this is and they're important and it just continues and naturally flows. Just I cannot speak highly enough of Indiana Jones. It is incredible. I'm in Giza right now. I just did the haunted tomb part and I've been collecting the radio frequencies. That's currently what I'm doing, and the medicine bottles. And I got one of the steles for a side quest. So I'm not really far into Giza because I've been doing a bunch of the miscellaneous stuff, but it is way different than the Vatican. So again, if you worked on Indiana Jones, like you better highlight that on your resume.
Oh yeah.
Like especially world building and stuff because it's like, man, they did such a great job with this. Like they out Ubied and like some other stuff and some of their open world kind of it's hub based but also feels big enough for open world kind of. It's like a almost like a 2.5.
Yeah.
Um and so I've been really enjoying it. And so I'm in Gear right now. I've been playing that. I've been playing the Doom and Doom 2 remaster definitive edition thing from Night Dive id and Machine Games. Speaking of Machine Games, they're on a heater
Yeah.
lately. They've been doing really really good work. And I'm I beat the first campaign in Doom, and so now I'm on the first expansion. Really enjoying that. They did a great job with it. Been playing that. Been playing Crash Team Racing, and I know that totally genre doesn't match the others at all, but it's kind of nice change of pace. Really enjoying it. Scratches that platformer itch and also Mario Kart itch at the same time. And yeah, so it's really well done. Highly recommend it. Been playing that. Also have been playing The Casting of Frank Stone. For some reason, I wanted to dabble in a whole bunch of different stuff and genres at the same time. So I've been playing that as well, and I'm enjoying it. Like the prologue starts off with a bang. Like I don't know if you've played this one yet, um, but it starts off like whoa, like you're right in the action immediately. And but then after the prologue, it's a little slow. But then it really picks up again, and it's just super fascinating. The idea of basically this enchanted magical camera that somehow has these otherworldly, like occult powers that basically it almost feels like an old 90s kid show movie to where it's like what the camera films comes to life but at a cost kind of, so to
Yeah.
speak. And so it's got that, and then it has all the elements of the dark picture games or the quarry or until dawn, and it's made by Supermassive, but it takes place within the Dead by Daylight universe. So it's super fascinating, super dark, really trippy so far. And playing that, and it even has collectibles from the Dead by Daylight. Like you find these doll totems occasionally that are like the killers from the universe of Dead by Daylight. Like I found the Redneck, the Wraith, the Trapper. I think I found one other one so far. But been really enjoying those and really looking forward to the dev direct. So yeah, playing a bunch of stuff. Have you gone to visit your blue friends? It's been a while.
Yeah, I've actually kept away from Avatar. That game is way too big. Not in a bad way. Like I think it's just the type of game you have to like really push through. Because like the whole game is essentially one big forest, and it can get a bit tiring if you're just playing it for hours and hours. So like that's why I've been playing it a little bit each week. So I'm taking a break from that, but I've been playing a bunch of different games. Now, I have been provided a free review copy of Starship Troopers Extermination by Keymailer, and I have to say, if you're a fan of Starship Troopers, now the reason why there isn't any gameplay on the screen at the minute, and I will next week, I lost about 40 gigabytes of B-roll due to a corrupted hard drive. Fun times. But I'll talk about the game now. It is fun. If you're a fan of Starship Troopers, it really feels like you're in Starship Troopers. It has 16-player co-op, which is absolutely hectic. The amount of enemies that the game throws on screen at you is ridiculously impressive. The enemies are exactly like the ones from the movies. There's some variants that weren't in the movies as well. And also, you use weapons that were in the movies, and also some that I think was actually in the CGI movies. And if people haven't watched them, they're actually surprisingly fun. Um, but the solo mode, I was actually surprised by. You basically played different mission scenarios, and Johnny Rico is the general in that game, and he basically kind of narrates the experience. But like, it is an absolute must for Starship Trooper fans. You know, I'm not really the biggest co-op multiplayer person, but it's generally fun. I think a lot of people will like it, if especially if you like Starship Troopers. And I have to say, like, I think that, and I mean this in the best possible way. I think that the AA licensed game just works. Just works. You look at RoboCop Rogue City, AA game, and it's an amazing experience. Unreal Engine 5, you feel like RoboCop. It is essentially the third movie that we should have had. And with this Starship Troopers game, It is what you want from a Starship Troopers game. So I highly recommend it. Again, I'll have gameplay next week, but what a fun experience. I think a lot of people will like it, especially if you like games where they literally throw tons of enemies on screen at you. And I feel like not too many games do that. You know, people online argue about resolution and frame rates and ray tracing all the time, but I love when games throw an absurd amount of enemies at you. And this is one of those games. It genuinely feels good to actually fight the bugs, and they even sound like they do in the movies. They move like they do in the movies, but yeah, such a fun experience, and I'll be playing more of that after the show. But yeah, we've also been playing a bunch of other stuff like Star Wars Outlaws. Every time I post about Star Wars Outlaws, I get some reply saying it's mid, it's crap. But I have to admit, I'm having fun with it. You know, I am playing with all of the patches and stuff, so I don't have any, forced stealth where the game basically ends if I'm caught. None of that stuff. And even if there are sections like that, the game literally reloads a few seconds prior, so it's not really an issue. But it's a fun game. You see characters that you've seen in other movies and TV shows from the Star Wars universe. I'm liking it. I'm really liking it. I do think that the only negative, I think, from Star Wars Outlaws, I think that it feels like, we have this Ubisoft formula, but we also had Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which was more open, and it was kind of like Far Cry in a way. But this, it feels like it's trying to do its own thing, and I appreciate that. But the best part of this game to me isn't when you're out in the open world. It isn't about when you're in your starship smuggling stuff, and that is an excellent part of the game. The space combat in this game is done so well, so well. It's simple, it's weighty, and it just feels like you're in the Star Wars universe. But the game does something excellent, and that is Imperial bases. The best part of this game is when you're told, hey, you have to go into this Imperial base, don't get caught. It's the best part of the game, and it's barely advertised. There's a mission early on where you have to basically fly aboard a star base that's run by the Empire and steal some information. It's just so good. I hope more people play it now that it's fixed, and there's also a second expansion coming out this year. And I have to admit, the mini game for Sabak is possibly one of the most addictive mini games I've ever played. You know, if you watch Han Solo, the Star Wars movie, when they play Sabak on screen, I'm not even kidding, they are basically playing poker. They clearly didn't know what rules this game was meant to have, so they're literally acting like it's poker. But in this, it's actually a cross between blackjack and Go Fish. And it weirdly...
Interesting.
Yeah, it works. It works so well. I will say this, the tutorial for that minigame is absolute hot trash. It overcomplicates what the game's actually like. And it's so simple, but I really love that minigame. Hell, I was actually playing the minigame about 2 days ago for about an hour and a half. Like, just such a small...
That's a good sign.
Yeah, it's a good sign for a minigame. I've also been playing Death Stranding. What can I say? That game was made fun of for being a FedEx man simulator. And, it was the top of the charts when it came to Xbox. And what can I say? It's fun. I love the fact that other people make roads that I can use, because I may have said this on my channel before, but I hate crafting in video games. I hate it.
Damn.
I don't want any part of it at all. And fortunately for me, this is the one game where other people make crap for me, right? So the game tells you, hey, you can make roads now, but other people have made me roads. People can say I'm lazy. Maybe that's the case, but I do not like making stuff. So when I see a highway appear out of nowhere in Death Stranded, it's amazing. It's like, thank you. I don't have to do anything now. I just have to walk or, ride my bike across it. But what a game. What a game. I think a lot of people are going to, really give that a chance. And it's actually popping up on sale for 50% off multiple times now. So I think that's their strategy with that video game. So, hey, it may have came to Xbox 5 years after the original launch, but hey, it's 50% off. It was £17 at launch, and it was 50% recently. And I think if they just keep doing these types of sales, they're going to see a huge return, because I think we're going to be talking about video game prices in a bit, and I'm going to pop off about it. But I think now more than ever, people are really looking at sales, because lately, especially over Christmas, there was some insane sales on Xbox. There was some like 80% off sales. I think Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. I think I saw that for like 65% off in the UK. Uh, Crazy. I think more people need to pay attention to these sales. But yeah, Death Stranding. It's a weird game. Like, so weird. Excuse me, but it's such a weird game. But I think people have to play it because it's weird. Like Logan, you have the collector's edition, right?
Yep, I have I bought it when it first came out on PS4 or a while. I bought it on PS4, got the collector's edition with the BB lamp and the carrying case and like the logo like figure guy keychain. I can't remember the character's name, but the mascot for Kojima's studio basically. Ludens, I think might be his name.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And a whole bunch of extra content stuff. And then I just didn't get to playing it. But then when it came to Series X and it was 50% off day one, I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
heck yeah, I'll try that. I never thought I thought it had a snowball's chance of ever coming to Xbox. So yeah, I'll buy it, especially for that price. And I've made it a good bit into the game, and yeah, I love it. It is an absolute mind trip. Like, basically, like you said, it's like a delivery service road trip with this acid just music in the background and all these like oil monsters and somehow babies that are dead but not dead that connect you to a beach somewhere,
Yeah.
and you must create must connect the Wi-Fi to make America whole again. And it's so bizarre and so Kojima, but I love it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it you mentioned that you do basically carry parcels to someone's house, reconnect the internet, and then leave, and then you fight a giant wolf made out of ink, like oil. It's unusual, and I think I'm saying that in the best possible way. I love the fact it's weird. Like it's like
Yes.
when that first collector's edition was announced like 5 years ago, I thought this is the weirdest thing ever. Why? What is the deal with a plastic baby in this tank thing? And I'm playing.
People have put you on a watch list, man.
Yeah,
Think you're crazy.
basically, yeah. But I've been playing Death Stranding a lot, and I'm thinking I really love this game. It's so good. It's weird and it's so good. But I was actually looking at merchandise. Like I was thinking I could buy this figurine for myself. But I mean, hey, I think that's the huge benefit of these like game sales and discounted launches. Like I never thought I would ever play a Death Stranding. One, I'm mainly on Xbox. Two, I never thought it would come to Xbox to begin with. And three, it's had the perception of being a FedEx simulator for 5 years. And, it being a low price, like, I think that gives more people an opportunity to, get into the game. If you look at the reviews on Xbox at the minute for that game, it's I think it's in the top 60 best rated games on Xbox. Overwhelmingly positive. And everyone says the same thing. It's weird, but it's good. And I think we need more of that in the gaming industry. Just be completely out there. I think that's one of the reasons why that Yakuza game that comes out next month looks good. It's over the top. It doesn't make sense, but it just works. And I think gaming needs to be a bit more experimental. That's why I like Kojima's stuff. It's way out there a lot of the time. Maybe too
No,
much.
make gaming weird again.
Yeah. Hell, I've been. Oh, and that's another game I've been playing. Metal Gear Solid, the first one. That is a punch of nostalgia. For people that don't know, the Master Collection has 4K support now. That's for 2 and 3. The first game doesn't have any upgrades just because Konami don't want to interfere with the original experience. I don't agree with that. I've seen the game run at 4K. It looks fantastic, even when it's like, what, 30-year-old assets. Like, it still can look good at times. But, excuse me, it's still a great game. Highly recommend it. And what can I say? I think that if people haven't played Metal Gear Solid and they're looking at the remake coming out this year, maybe get the collection on a sale because it is game history. And, it will go towards us getting a Volume 2, which will have, Metal Gear Solid 4, uh, Peace Walker, and arguably 5. And that game still doesn't have a 4K patch, so if that comes around, why not? Anyway, that's pretty much what we've been playing. It's been a busy week. We have way too many topics to talk about. Okay, I can have this mini rant. So, for people that are listening, maybe for the first time, I kind of like Mass Effect. Shocker.
Just a bit.
Yeah, just a bit. And I talk about Mass Effect all the time. I've been accused of being paid off by BioWare for the amount of times I tell people to buy it. I haven't received a penny from BioWare. Like, I just want people to buy it. And every opportunity to post about Mass Effect, I will. Like yesterday in the US, they announced that a trip to Mars is going to happen. And as someone that loves space, astronomy, I love the fact that we actually go into Mars, but I use that as an opportunity to talk about how good Mass Effect Legendary Edition is. Well, anyway, I've had my ups and downs with that franchise ever since Andromeda came out. I'm not going into detail with that again. But anyway, so it turns out Dragon Age The Veilguard isn't getting any expansions. This has been known for a few months now. Well, anyway, it turns out that apparently Mass Effect 4 is, it's still in development, but the teams have basically been put onto other games to finish them, and Mass Effect isn't in full production yet. Now, this is where I would normally cry myself to sleep at night. I might do later. Who knows? We'll see. It looks like we're not going to see the next Mass Effect game for 2029. Ouch.
That sounds like such a made-up year.
Yeah, by the way, I hate the fact how futuristic these years sound now. Like it's in the title, Next Gen Xbox 2026. That sounds like a year from Blade Runner. In fact, I think, isn't the first Blade Runner set then? It's around then anyway.
Man, that makes me just feel anxious thinking about that. Ugh.
But yeah, so Mass Effect is years away, unfortunately. EA has a bunch of other single-player games in the works. They have a Black Panther game in the works. They have a single-player Iron Man game in development over at Motive Studios. That's pretty much guaranteed to be good. And they have some other studios making single-player stuff. But it's just a bit of a shame because, if you're a Mass Effect fan, especially of the trilogy, we haven't really had much to go on for a long time now. And, like... I'll talk about this because for people that maybe haven't listened before, when Mass Effect was announced to go into hiatus, because Andromeda did so well. Like, I was in the pub with my mates on my birthday. That ruined my day. My disappointment was immeasurable. My day was ruined, and I was literally at a loss. Like, thankfully, I was in a pub, so I was in the right place to deal with it. But honestly, like, I was absolutely shocked. I was disgusted. Like, the gaming industry is a farce. None of this makes sense. But like, you see, like, these piles of copies of Mass Effect Andromeda in stores at the time. And, I was basically over and done with Mass Effect. I was like, okay, we're not going to see any more in the future. And basically, was I sick on the pool table? No. Mainly because they didn't have a pool table, but that's a story for another day. But Mass Effect, like, I kind of gave up hope that we would see the franchise again. And then there were rumors, and I looked into it, and there was a Mass Effect remaster in the works, which is now Legendary Edition. And let me tell you, over the years, we've seen so many collections be announced. So many remasters, remakes, sequels, new releases. They either release buggy, broken, need to patch in basic features, not up to the standard of what people want, sometimes not even as good as the original. I'm looking at you, Prototype. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Prototype 1 and 2. Bare bones ports. And what they did with Legendary Edition, it was borderline perfect. It had a photo mode, which nobody really expected. It was, 4K 60 across the board, has 120 frames per second mode. It fixed all of the bugs in Mass Effect 2 and 3. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I may have done, but I'll do it again. Every playthrough I've ever had of Mass Effect 3, there's been this bug where during a dialogue sequence, mainly with Liara, Shepard would turn his head to the left while he was talking. And I had to put up with that with every playthrough. I thought it was my disc. So I played it digitally, and I had the same bug. So it's like I was talking into the side of Shepard's head, basically. And that annoyed the hell out of me for years and years. And then we get this remaster collection, and it's perfect. Fixed all the bugs. I mean, I've had cutscenes in the original trilogy that didn't have audio. There were characters actually missing in the cutscenes. I could go on. Um, and they did an excellent job with it. And it looks like we have the Mass Effect A team back on making the game. And in fact, the writer for Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy game is the writer for the new Mass Effect, which is bloody excellent news because she was a phenomenal writer on that game. She also wrote for Deus Ex Human Revolution back in the day. So the game's in good hands. Just it looks like we're going to be waiting for a while. Unfortunately, people can cry now. I'll understand. Logan, what's your thoughts? Because again, this game is years away.
Yeah, like you said, it feels like a feels like a whole age away, but it's only a few years. And like you, I love Mass Effect. I'm not quite to your level, but I really, really do love it and enjoy it. And it's one of the most impactful RPGs out there, and like influential. The way they've done everything, the characters, the storylines, the memes, the characters, the writing, the world building. Like it is a masterclass. It's basically like what I hoped they could have done had BioWare Obsidian been allowed the freedom or given to Reigns to do like a Knights of the Republic trilogy, like a
Oh
one,
yeah,
two, three, kind of like that. That's the highest praise I can give. Like it is just well done. It's phenomenal. I really love them. I'm happy that they're finally going back to right some wrongs and make the fourth one that everybody's been wanting. We'll just pretend Andromeda didn't happen. Um, that that's a story for another day, but we'll just pretend that one didn't happen. We don't talk about that one. Um, we look forward to the fourth one. I'm really excited to see where they take it. There's a lot of cool directions they can go. And yeah, I'm super excited for it. The fact that the lady who wrote Ace X and the Guardians of the Galaxy is in charge. Like,
oh
by
yeah,
the way, those were award-winning games,
yeah,
like story, narratives speaking. Like, forget gameplay alone, narrative-wise, they were award-winning. Like, she's clearly cooking, and she has a great track record. So that alone should get a lot of people on board, and I'm really fascinated. Like, while it's weird as I've gone and flipped from being concerned about Mass Effect and 100% confident in Dragon Age to being concerned about the future of Dragon Age and being very confident in the future of Mass Effect in a relatively quick time frame. So, all in all, I'm excited.
yeah. So hey, at least it's coming at some point. But the good news is apparently they're going back to what made the trilogy so good. It's that they are hub world games, no open world,
Oh, goodness.
and Ubisoft, like not Ubisoft. I can't speak today. BioWare, like they are their best when they make hub world games. Like, look, I've played several hours of Dragon Age: The Veilguard. I haven't played enough for a review, but I will say this: I love the level design. There's no open world. It's completely mission based, and I think we need uh, mission based RPGs in the past. In fact, the other day I was posting about how Avowed is a 30-hour RPG, and I had like two replies saying nobody wants 30-hour RPGs. So I had to go to
They're
town.
tripping.
Like Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, Deus Ex Human Revolution, Mass Effect 1 through 3, Dragon Age 1 and 2, Fable 2, Fable 3, Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, The Outer Worlds 2. Oh, well, The Outer Worlds 1. Um, The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings. 30-hour RPG. Like, people clearly like those games. It's just we don't get many these days. But yeah, Mass Effect will we'll come back to that at another point. I see Umber in chat. Hey, what's up? We have the first super chat today by Nick Wendland. Thank you very much for the $4.99. He says, I've been playing the Stick of Truth lately, and I forgot about the hilarious and awesome game that is. You know what?
Oh, that game's funny.
That game, by the way, that game's censored in Europe. Uh,
Oh yeah, to
yeah,
heck and back, man.
yeah. So, like, I loved what I played of the Stick of Truth. I really need to get to it, but I'm trying. By the way, I'm trying to describe a certain boss battle without getting demonetized. You fight something that has something to do with Khloe Kardashian. Yeah,
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 okay.
that's all I'm saying. But like I got up to that, and like that game is wild. Um, when you get to a certain censored part, by the way, in Stick of Truth, you just get this big warning sign saying, "Yeah, sorry, we had to censor this in Europe," but you still hear everything. So like when you're on the spaceship and probing happens, you hear it all. uh, but yeah, I'm surprised that that game was even allowed to come out in Europe. Like, wow. I'm surprised it was even allowed to come out in Australia because everything's censored there. But the
Oh
sticker,
yeah, I thought they would have been taken down in Australia.
yeah, like Stick of Truth is such a good game, and that's an Obsidian title. Like they have range, but you know what? I might actually put that onto my to playlist because we don't get games like that. In fact, I don't even think I've played
Oh
the sequel.
man, the emo kid section just had me rolling. That was so funny.
Yeah, like that game's so good. I think that South Park humor, they can get away with it. like, like even when I watch South Park now, I'm just kind of got my hand over my mouth thinking, can they say this? Like, is it allowed?
Apparently they can.
Yeah, they can. But yeah, you know what? I may actually play Stick of Truth soon because that was such a fun title. But yeah, thank you very much for the 4.99, Nick. You know what? Let's talk about this. I wasn't going to actually include it in the topics. The Switch 2. It had its announcement trailer after being leaked drastically. Everything about that console was leaked. The motherboard, what kind of like controllers they've got for the Joy Cons, the screen type, the screen size, everything leaked about it. So like to me, when I saw that 2 minute trailer, basically just showing you, it's a new Switch, it's bigger, it's got a bigger screen, it's got bigger Joy Cons. Honestly, I thought that's all they had to do. I thought it was a decent trailer. They showed off how sleek it looks. They showed off the bigger screen. I think it having bigger analog sticks is a huge thing because every time I've held a Switch, the analog sticks feel tiny. But like them being bigger Joy Cons in general, it's going to be more comfortable to hold. Honestly, it looks like a cool device. It's got a USB-C on the top, so I assume you can charge it that way as well. Maybe use USB headphones if you want. Charge it and use something else with a USB at the same time. I think it's going to be a big win for Nintendo. I will say this though, the reaction I saw online wasn't what I expected. I thought there was going to be, thunderous applause like you'd see at a gladiator museum, right? Not museum, Colosseum. I'm a dumbass today. But yeah, I thought there was going to be like huge excitement for it online, and I'm seeing like Kotaku, Eurogamer talking about how like it's not exciting, and all I thought was like, what are they going to do with like announcing the Switch 2 to these people? Because we know what it's going to be. It's a way more powerful Switch. It's going to be able to play more modern games. That's all they have to do really, and streamline it a little with like the new kickstand and all that stuff. It's got backwards compatibility, which is cool. But like, if you look at the original trailer for the first Switch, it showed you people playing a Switch on like a rooftop party, or playing in the back of a van. But you're going to be able to do all that stuff still. So what did Eurogamer and Kotaku want? Did they want more people dancing like in the background while there's a party going on and people are playing Mario Kart? Like, I honestly don't understand. Like, maybe I'm taking crazy pills. Like, I thought the Switch 2 reveal was good. That's all they had to do. The direct is in April, I think it said. By the way, I was so confused when I saw that because the date was reversed. So I thought, the direct is coming on, the 4th of February. And then I saw people talking online about how it's April and that's months away because the date was backwards. But anyway, I thought it was a decent reveal. I thought that. Yeah, I need. I can't speak today. This illness is getting to me. But Logan, I've been talking for like what feels like an hour. What was your thought on the Switch 2? I thought the media was kind of weird about it.
Yeah, like honestly, the media's been tripping for like a whole year plus on a whole bunch of stuff, like even more than normal. So that I'm not surprised that they were kind of stuffy about it because it's just I mean, like, it's literally all I wanted for a Switch 2. Like, backwards compatible, so I can play my Switch library, both, the cartridge and digital. And it's beefed up, it's big, it is more powerful, better screen, battery, just like it, the whole shebang. Like, what you want a Switch 2 to be. Like, there are a few companies out there that I can just go to the bank with and like trust. Like, whatever they put out is probably going to be great, and I'm probably just going to like it. Nintendo, Night Dive, there's a few others, and so like, yeah, I'm totally on board with it. It looks awesome. I think the well, it's just a switchier Switch. I mean, like, do you hear yourself? Like, I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe that's the problem. They're just so out of touch. Is it me or are the children out of touch? Like meme personified. And it's just ridiculous. I'm not surprised, but I'm looking forward to Switch 2. And especially if I know this might make some folks mad or might make some happy and some just don't give a flying flip, but especially if some of the Xbox collaboration stuff does come to pass with it, like we expect it will. Like, in the meantime, before we get a full on Xbox handheld, if I could basically jerry rig a Switch 2 to be like an Xbox handheld, to where I can get full of like imagine a scenario where I'm playing Master Chief Collection or Sea of Thieves or Gears Collection if it happens or some of this other stuff on a Switch too, and I get full Xbox achievement and support, I would totally double dip. That'd be awesome. So all in all, like I think the Switch 2 is going to be a humongous, massive success. It's going to set the world on fire sales wise. Like I see no downside.
Yeah. I mean, they can't really go wrong. I will say though, like I think it was GameSpot. They put out an article saying, calling it the Switch 2 will confuse people. Like, no. Like this is clearly an Xbox channel, and I'm batting for Nintendo here, but like that was the dumbest thing I've read this week, and I've read a lot of dumb stuff, which we'll be talking about some dumb stuff in a bit, but that has to do with the quantum error devs. But like the Switch 2, yes, yeah. But the Switch 2, it looks good. It's a sleek Switch. They showed off the new Mario Kart. I mean, people have been playing the same Mario Kart since whenever 12 came out or 8 came out. I think that was
Oh,
2012.
like 2012,
Yeah,
maybe 2016,
yeah.
something.
So
It's been a while.
it's been a while, but like Nintendo, they're gonna have a huge success with it. I saw the price today, or the leaked price for $450. I mean, if you're gonna have DLSS and all that stuff, I think that's fair. You're getting a super powerful handheld. Like, will it be as powerful as a Steam Deck? Maybe, or like an ROG. But we'll see. But we'll find out in what do you call it? April. But yeah, Switch 2. Just wanted to talk about it because I think that in this race to like everyone making a handheld at the minute, like the Switch 2 is obviously going to be the best selling one. That thing is going to sell like 20 million units in its first week, and Nintendo's going to be swimming in money. Perfectly fine. But yeah, I just thought it was weird the reaction I saw online. It's like, no, it's going to be fine. Nintendo, like, think about this, when the Switch was first announced back in the day, or before it was announced, remember, people were saying that Nintendo should leave the hardware space because the Wii U did so, badly. I mean, hell, there were places in the UK that just they stopped stocking it after a year because nobody was buying it. And look how far they come. So yeah, success. I think it's great for them all to thrive and stuff. And by the way, if them doing DLSS and all that stuff, if all three console manufacturers are pushing that tech, that's great for everyone. That means more developers will actually take advantage of that tech, learn better ways to use it It's a win-win scenario. Anyway, we'll move on. Let's talk about the quantum error thing because I burst out laughing. So for people that don't know, me and Logan, we both kind of, let's be honest, let's port beg. We port beg for like remasters of stuff. Like I want
Oh, I'm a shameless port shill.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and like I've been asking for a Chronicles of Riddick, remaster collection for ages now. But I've also been asking for, a Dino Crisis remake. I think a lot of people, a lot of Resident Evil fans, they want a Dino Crisis game. It'd be something different. We don't need zombies every 5 seconds. Even though Resident Evil's great, Dino Crisis needs to come back. Well, anyway, a bunch of other companies in the past have decided to make, let's call them Dino Crisis style games, but none of them have taken off. I don't even want to say AA games. There's a few on the Xbox Store and PlayStation PC right now. I think they're called like Outbreak Dinosaur Edition or something. They don't look that good. So anyway, this developer put out this post about a week ago advertising this game that's basically inspired by Dino Crisis. So I watched the trailer. I thought it looked like it was using a lot of assets from the Unreal Engine store. When you see a game that just looks like a bunch of assets and not a game,
Mhm.
it looked off. But I didn't really think anything of it. I went on with my day. Asset flip, that's it. I keep forgetting the term, but asset flip, yeah. It looked like that. So I just, kept on scrolling and went on with my day. And I see a bunch of people in the PC space arguing with this Twitter account for the developer. And then I clicked on the developer's profile, and what did they make in the past? Quantum Error. So the Quantum Error developers basically came out and said, hey, this game's for PlayStation 5 and only PlayStation 5. And then they started beefing with PC players. Now, let me tell you, that was a bad move. Because PC players, they won't put up with crap, right? We'll be talking about game prices in a bit, but the main reason you don't see prices on PC for $70 that often is because they won't bloody buy it, and rightly so. So people are asking, like, why aren't you putting this on PC? And people have been looking into the past, and they've released a bunch of, like, asset flip games, or looked like asset flip games. And, yeah, honestly, I have the same opinion now as I did then. I think this is a small indie developer. They are trying to take advantage of a user base by beefing in console warring, in PC console warring, PC warring, let's call it. Remember when Quantum Error was announced? They said this thing can't run on the Xbox Series S, and then they were beefing for about
SSD.
yeah, like the SSD isn't capable of doing it. And we saw what happened when the game launched. People were parading saying this game's going to be amazing. It's like, are we really doing this now? Are we really pushing a game just because it's exclusive to one platform, even though it looks like, and I don't like saying this about an indie game, hot garbage. This looks like hot garbage, and people are arguing online over it. It's like, this developer is clearly taking advantage of people warring back and forth because it's free promotion. Look at how many views their tweets have because you have people looking at what they're saying to other people. They keep quote tweeting fanboys and stuff. Like, excuse me. It's just it's bad acting. I don't know why they keep doing it. It backfires every single time when gamers do this, or say developers do this. I don't know. I think that it's a poor way to market your game. Like they'll say things like, we don't have the developers to make multiple ports or the funds to market it. But it's like you have people literally doing the free marketing for you because the console warring online. And like, Logan, did you check out this trailer, by the way?
I didn't bother to check out the trailer once I saw who was making it, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like, if I didn't know who was making it and I heard Dino Crisis spiritual successor, like even if it was made by a smaller developer, I'd give them credit and I'd check it out and be like, oh hey, I wish them well and I hope it does better than most. Like I have a strong desire for a Dino Crisis type experience. So
Oh
like
yeah.
I give a whole bunch of these indies a chance and try them out. Some are definitely really rough, and some are better than others. But there hasn't been like one that just fully fills that void. And so anytime somebody's like out there saying we're gonna fill that, or we're gonna replace it or do this, you're like, all right, that's some big talk. Let's see what you're putting out there. But once I found out who was doing it, yeah, I didn't even bother. Um, it, yeah, I mean, on one hand, it's smart the way what they're doing because it gets a whole ton of free marketing and publicity from people who can't control themselves and spout off and get into arguments with people randos online. Like, hey, I mean, I get it, respect the hustle, but at the same time, I really dislike it. I don't like it. I think it's I frown upon that. The notion of making that the focus and stuff. Like the idea of potentially making a game to where you don't put it on PC because you don't want certain mods or something happening to a game.
Yeah,
Like theoretically, I understand that argument. Like I think there are some games in particular with some characters and some storylines that are more sensitive than others that I think some mods and stuff could take advantage of and could make some things that would not be good. Just put it that way. But the way that they were going about that and using that, it didn't feel like a particularly good faith motion of that, if you know what I mean. And it just, I don't know. One especially once I found out it was the Fireman game devs, I was like, yeah, okay, this is a hot pass.
yeah. I just think like people don't learn. Like people are willing to fanboy over a game because it's like on their platform. It's like, no, look at this game with your eyeballs. It's not good. But I think it's a case of shovelware and asset flips. They get next to no marketing. Like how many times in the past few years has there been a big game that's had like a huge impact on social media, and then it's came out and everyone realized, oh yeah, this game is terrible. There was a game that came out, I want to say a year ago, called The Day Before,
Oh
right?
gosh, yeah,
Yeah,
that was a disaster.
yeah, that game, I think it was the most wishlisted game on Steam ever. Like they put out trailers for the console versions. It was like a hugely hyped game. Like I posted about it multiple times, and then when they launched it on Steam, uh, people were like, oh wait, this looks nothing like the game we were showing. And oh, what's this? They made most of the game with assets bought from the Unreal Engine store. Huh. Like these bloody asset flip games and like shovelware. Like I mentioned before, the Outbreak games. If you're on your PlayStation or Xbox or PC right now, type Outbreak into the search section on the store. There's like 50 games called Outbreak in multiple different bundles because what these companies do is that they release a, I'm doing air quotes, new game, and this annoys the crap out of me, by the way. This shouldn't even be allowed. They release a game called, like, let's say, Outbreak Dino Edition. And then with new releases coming out, that game is no longer at the top of the store. So what they do is they put in like maybe a new piece of DLC, such as like a free shirt or a gun skin, and they'll call it the Outbreak Dino Edition with a gun or something like that, and that'll be at the top of the store again. And this happens for a bunch of different games, and it's shovelware beyond belief. And like some games do this, and I have played that are actually good. One, and that's called Century of Ashes. It's a multiplayer game where you ride dragons and fight other people that ride dragons. Well, what they do is they release a new bundle every week with dragon skins, and then their game is at the top of the store again. Right? It's a weird tactic. I don't agree that companies should do that. But yeah, Outbreak. Oh my god, there's like 50 versions, and they all look the same. They all look like someone's just downloaded Unreal Engine assets to make a mobile game. Like it's a weird tactic. I don't know. I hope Microsoft and Sony and even Steam like they can just get a handle on this because so many companies now deal with shovelware. It,
Yeah, there's a alien game. I can't remember what it is. It was like this kind of survival horror, like alien abduction game, like Gray Hill Incident or something
yeah,
like
that's it.
that.
Yeah,
Like I've seen that released like 10 times on the store, slightly tweaked or something. I'm like, wait a minute, how did this game go from absolutely unholy abomination reviews to decently review. Like it keeps selling so many different ways that the reviews keep changing and the prices keep changing. It's like, how does this happen?
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. But going back to the whole quantum error developer, people should just stop talking about it. Stop talking about them. Do not retweet them and give them attention. And yes, I'm giving them attention right now by talking about it, but I just wanted to bring it up because, excuse me, it's just a weird situation that happens over and over again, and people just don't learn. The same people that got hyped about Quantum Error are talking about this dinosaur game. Nobody cares. This game will come out, people will play, and it will be awful. Um, it is what it is. Anyway, we'll move on. We still have like 50 topics. I apologize for the coughing, by the way. Next week, I should be fine. You know what? We'll talk about this quickly because I absolutely despise live service games. Like I can't stand live service games. I'm more of a single player gamer. Like I don't really like them. In fact, I play 2 live service games. I play Fall Guys with 2 of my friends, and I play Call of Duty with one of them, like twice a week, and that's it. Yeah, I'm all tapped out. I don't care about multiplayer anymore. I'm out. Um, and when it comes to those games, I've never put a penny, by the way, into microtransactions ever. They're not getting a penny from me. Never have, never will, and it will always be that way. And well, anyway, Sony today, or the past few days, it turns out there's been a few games being cancelled, and they're all live service titles. This isn't a bash Sony segment. It's the whole like industry at the minute. Like everyone's chasing this Fortnite money. You know, Fortnite makes money. They print it at this point. They may as well have a printing press for money. And they come out with new skins and there's new experiences and they advertise this stuff and they have like concerts inside the game. They have full games inside of Fortnite. You can play like I think Rocket League in Fortnite now. There's a GTA Online thing that's basically Lego GTA Online, and that game just makes endless amounts of money. And you have companies like Sony. They don't have really a live service game. They can make money off every single year. Call of Duty prints money for Microsoft. Halo Infinite makes money for Microsoft. Forza skins, cars, all that stuff. Hell, even Flight Simulator 2024, you can buy a bunch of planes, and they're gonna add more over time. And like, look at Minecraft. Look at the skin section. Next time someone plays Minecraft, there's an ungodly amount of skin packs you can buy. There's also a Mass Effect skin pack, by the way. But like, there's an ungodly amount of skin packs in that game, and like different worlds you can visit. Like Microsoft's fine there, and Microsoft is heavily leaning towards single player games. Every game they have in development at the minute, it's basically single player, which I love, by the way. But Sony's like they've had multiple different games being cancelled. They're pivoting to multiplayer and live service games is kind of backfiring because it's a tricky market to make games in. Like at the minute, if you have Fortnite, nobody else is touching Fortnite. If you have Call of Duty, nobody can touch Call of Duty. And like look at X-Defiant. That was poised to be the quote unquote Call of Duty killer. Where is it now? It's shutting down in 5 months. They're letting people play the content that they've already made. Battlefield is in a terrible state. Like, I'm a Battlefield fan, and let me tell you, we have nothing to look forward to. They keep telling us that they have a great new experience on the way, but I don't trust DICE anymore as a developer. I wish I could, but when it comes to Battlefield, there's nothing really like Battlefield on console. And then, you have, I'm trying to think of other live service games, like Halo, right? Whether people like Halo or not, there's not really another shooter like Halo. So, like, you have Sony, they come out with Concord, and it's basically like Overwatch. And then they have other multiplayer games that's like other multiplayer games. And we've seen this before. The Division, I loved some of the gameplay in The Division. I loved the military combat in that game. But if you chasing that Destiny, hey, we have a 10-year plan, 10-year story, like it never works. Look at Anthem. They left the Christmas lights on. Look at Avengers game. They said it was going to get years of expansions, all these new characters you can play as with different superhero powers, right? And they've all crashed and burned. And I think Sony, yeah, Sony does also have Helldivers 2, which was been big on PC and console. Uh, but like, I don't get this pivot to multiplayer. Like, yes, they want the money that you get off live service games, but I just don't see there much. I don't see where there's money left in the multiplayer space. Marvel Rivals, they struck gold with that game. I can't remember the name of the developer, but like they struck gold. It's a third
Is
person.
it Nexon?
Yes, yeah, Nexon. Thanks. I'm pretty sure it's
Okay.
Nexon, but like they've struck gold, right? It launched with like 30 heroes, a ridiculous amount of maps, and like the adding characters all the time. There's different like skins for each character, and like supers or whatever, and it has like a battle pass. And like that game is just print money. Hell, that game is so popular that like some of the biggest streamers in the world are considering making, uh, you know, what do you call them, esports teams. Like from a game that came out what a month and a half ago ish. Like there's people that are playing this game full time. It's crazy, and that's a lightning in a bottle scenario. But I can't see there being many games like that coming out in the future where hey, it's going to be a huge success. Um, like I honestly think Sony they would have huge success with IPs that no one really has any competition in. So like Twisted Metal, there isn't really an online car combat game like that. Why didn't they do a game like that instead of cancelling it? Or SOCOM, there currently isn't a PvP third person military shooter out. Not really. And they could have went with that. But yeah, I just think it's weird chasing live service. Like single player makes a lot of money, but if people keep making these like hundreds of millions of dollars down the drain, and like the MMO apparently was cancelled today, for what do you call it?
Horizon.
Horizon. Thank you. Again, my brain's turned to scrambled egg. But like it's weird. Like I don't know. Like Logan, what's your take on this? Because like I know that you don't like live service games. It really feels like a busy segment of the market right now. I just can't see there being many different success stories, shall I say, in that space.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason. Like I tweeted out the Mean Girls quote about like stop trying to make this a thing. It ain't happening. Um, like they are just so many people are chasing this mythical golden goose of a live service cash cow operation type game that you con all these people into it. You get them by the neck and they're hooked and they spend the next decade plus shelling out tons of money for skins and upgrades and weapons and characters and like yeah, like theoretically lightning in a bottle, if you get that you're set for a company, but buddy, that's just not happening for 99.8% of all the studios and companies out there. It has to be like perfect setup, perfect situation, like like we mentioned Marvel Rivals. Like think about it, Marvel is one of the few companies out there that has a roster of characters that are unique and diverse enough with different abilities that are cool and well designed. Don't underestimate the power of coolness. Like we saw with Concord, there is a big o difference between Concord character design and Marvel hero design. Let's just put that out there. But just gameplay wise, all this other stuff. And you have to do all these things right and nail it. And even if you do a whole bunch of stuff and make a quote fun game or have good characters or stuff, it's not necessarily going to succeed. It takes so much of all these things going right, perfect storm to get it to that kind of level. And just the vast majority of people don't have the facilities for that. And I think it's a good thing that they're finally shifting and getting away from it. I think PlayStation got a little bit of the arrogant big head PlayStation syndrome that they get sometimes. And we're like, you know what? We're Sony. We can do whatever the flip we want. We want to do live service. Yeah, we're Sony. Nobody can beat our quality. We know what we're doing. Yeah, it's no big deal. It's a live service. How hard can it be? And then clearly, it ain't easy. You have 12 of these projects in the work because Jimbo decides to go all in, push all his chips on the table on all in, him and Herman, and then, lo and behold, Jimbo, quote, retires not that long ago. Um, Herman's left holding the bag, and then he's like, well, crap. Now I've got all these live service games. They ain't doing crap. Concord was a historic failure, like just dramatically, just awful game and experience, and just colossal flop money wise. I need to just yeet most of these projects out of existence and just go back to what we know and what we're good at. Go back to Sony's wheelhouse. We make jokes about their stereotype of games, but clearly Sony is very good at what they're good at. And they bit off more they could chew with this. And I'm glad they're going back to it. I don't like to see people lose jobs. I don't like to see studios get closed or, people face turmoil and questions about stuff. But at the same time, I think it's a great thing that these companies are finally realizing that you're not going to be able to con these people forever. And people are wising up and they're tired of your crap and they don't want this bull just shoved at them all the time. Make good games or get out of the way. And that's basically what they're being told. And they're finally doing it. So kudos to them for finally wising up, getting out of their own way, and making a good pivot. And I wish them the best.
Yeah. Before we continue, we have a super chat by Adidas20. Thank you much for the $2. He says, salute. Thank you very much. Always appreciated to get super chats. Helps push the channel forward. Got a lot of cool stuff planned. Some experimental stuff, which will probably be really bad at first. But anyway, all these super chats, really appreciated. Really does help. But yeah, the whole live service thing, it's kind of weird if you think about it because I'm mentioning the 7th generation again. Like, you had all these games, right? Like, again, Mass Effect. Mass Effect 3, should I say. It had a multiplayer mode. The economy was perfectly scaled. Like, you never really felt like you had to buy something. You could if you want. You earned points with, just playing the game. And it was a well done multiplayer mode or co op mode. But like that generation was filled with games where, hey, you had the campaign and then you had a multiplayer mode. Obviously you had the Call of Duties, Gears of War and stuff, but like Dead Space 2 had a multiplayer mode. Nobody played it. I thought it was actually kind of fun. But like that kind of crashed and burned. I think, didn't BioShock 2 have multiplayer?
Yeah, BioShock 2, Tomb Raider randomly had
Yeah.
multiplayer. It was like everybody and their dog was trying to shove multiplayer into games, and you're like, since when is Lara Croft experience a multiplayer game? That makes no sense.
Yeah, like everyone was trying to push it back then, but like only Call of Duty really. Call of Duty, Battlefield, Halo were making money off map packs. Nobody else was. I mean, hell, if you go on like the backwards compatible games, a lot of multiplayer map packs are actually free on the 360 stuff, because nobody plays them. Like, I think they're just trying to get people to buy what's there. But yeah, the multiplayer situation's weird. Live service games, like look at the first Descendant, right? When Destiny was at its worst, you have this game come out. Everyone was pushing it. Like, hell, I was playing it a lot when it first came out, and now I think on Steam it has like 10% of its like player base. But like people just, I think the problem with live service games such as that and basically everything else, people want new content all the time. Because you're gonna have people like me that will play once in a blue moon, But you have a lot of people that play, hey, they play this multiplayer game or live service game every single day, and that's all they play. So they want new content every week, every month, new expansions, new map packs, and like I just, it's not sustainable. So, like for these new games coming out, like I know people saying, "Oh, it's good that they've been cancelled," but like if you look at these developers, like they're not going to have games out for 4, 5, 6 years. Like Blue Point, they are a talented team, very talented.
Yeah. What
It,
were they smoking making Blue Point of all people on a live service game? And then Ben Studios, like neither one of them make any sense for that.
yeah, it's weird, man. I just think like they were gonna have a live service God of War game. I literally don't know how you do that, but apparently they were 4 years into development for it. But hey, it is what it is. I'm sure we'll find out more in the future. Just thankfully the studios aren't shutting down because every studio's been shutting down this year and last year, and it's an endless list of crap. Anyway, we'll move on. Enough talking about PlayStation. You know what? We got a brand new Game Pass list today, and I'll go over all the new releases. I will say this: I wish Microsoft did the list separately because they used to announce games coming to Game Pass. Now they list everything that's coming to Game Pass Standard and coming to Game Pass Ultimate in the same image.
Yeah, it confuses me.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing. So you have some games returning, which has happened before, but with the new graphic they do, it's kind of all over the place. So I'll try and list everything coming to Ultimate. Gigantic Rampage Edition is coming to Game Pass Ultimate. Far Cry New Dawn is coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Let's see what else is coming. Oh, Citizen Sleeper 2. I know a lot of people are being hyped about this game. I really need to play the first one.
Same.
Starbound is finally coming to Game Pass. Let's see. Lonely Mountains Snow Riders launched today in Game Pass. A lot of people are having fun with it. Orcs Must Die Death Trap, which is a brand new game. I think it's the fourth Orcs Must Die game. Eternal Strands is coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate on the 28th of January. And for people that don't know, it's a third-person action-adventure game where you fight huge bosses with elemental powers. It's actually a really, yeah, it's a really, really cool-looking game. The best, it kind of looks like Immortals Phoenix Rising, and I loved that game. If people haven't played that, please play it. Excellent game. But I think the big game coming to Game Pass Ultimate this month is Sniper Elite Resistance. This is the second Sniper Elite game to launch in Game Pass. They are super fun games. Super fun. If people haven't played them, I mean, I highly recommend it. They're easy to get into. You can make them as easy or as difficult as you want. But that game is going to be huge. Logan, did you ever play any of the Sniper Elite games?
Yeah, I played the third one, and I believe the I don't remember if there was a fourth one or like a remaster of one of the older ones, but it was in Game Pass. Like I played those two, and to be honest, they're not my thing, but I enjoyed playing them for a few minutes, seeing like the sniper cams and like the X-ray vision stuff for a little bit is kind of a fun goof around thing, but they're very well done and they're mechanically sound, and I know a lot of people like them.
Yeah, this game looks good. I mean, in the past, there's been some really big levels, but looks like this is going to have really densely packed levels. For instance, I did not like Sniper Elite 4. Didn't like the mission design at all. Sorry, Sniper Elite 3. 4 I liked, but this one looks really promising. You're playing as a new character. There's going to be a wider range of weapons compared to the past two. Multiplayer is back. It looks really good. I think this is a really good game to launch in Game Pass, especially with the invasion style mode it's got. But yeah, I think a lot of people are going to have fun with that one. Let's see. What have we got? Oh, God, we've still got a lot to talk about. You know what? Let's talk about this now because a lot of people have been really angry about this, and rightly so. And myself and Logan, we've talked about this in the past, but I think a lot of people will be really, really angry if it happens. So Grand Theft Auto 6 is around the corner. And, a lot of people are really looking forward to it. It's going to be the fastest selling game of all time. We all know this. But for some reason, every month and a half, we have this analyst come out talking about how, hey, this game might be $80, $90, $100. And we see a bunch of articles come out talking about how, is this the price of new video games? And people start talking like, maybe prices should go up. And I hit my breaking point the other day. I was like, why is this the only form of media where people want to pay more? Right? You don't see, like, Logan, have you ever heard anyone go to the cinema, pay for a cinema ticket, and go, I wish that cost more?
No, I see everybody rightfully whinge about how expletive expensive it is and how it feels like extortion for a family to go see a movie and popcorn is like $40. So no, I don't see people saying cinema should charge more.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't hear people say, hey, you know what? Dune Part 2 on Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray, that shouldn't be $28.99 in the UK. That should be 40. Like, nobody's saying this crap, right? But with gaming is the only form of media where people will go out on social media, make videos about it, and articles talk about how, you know what, we should be buying these games for $10 more, $20 more, like pushing $100 in these articles now. So my theory, tinfoil hat time, and I said this on Twitter. My theory is that we have these analysts being pushed by 2K, Take Two, Ubisoft, and all that stuff, to push the idea so we can get used to the idea of video games going up in price.
I
Be-
100% agree with you on that. I don't think that's tinfoil. I just think that's people not wanting to talk about it. But yeah, I completely agree with you on that.
It's happening way too often. And then look at the articles today in the news, right? It's people talking about, hey, would you pay $100 for GTA 6? A video game prices going up to $100. Like, so we jump in $30 now. It's not $80. It's $100. And like, as someone that lives in the UK, let me tell you, game prices have gone up £30 in the UK in 15 years. £30. And like, look at Australians. They pay $120 per game. Right? They're getting screwed over. And people can think, by the way, my tweets about game prices get some people angry. Like, some journalists and bloggers have replied to me saying I'm cheap for wanting games to remain the same price. No, I don't. I
No,
want
you just have a spine.
Yeah, I don't want games to remain the same price. I want them to be cheaper. Raising games to $70 was a huge mistake, colossal mistake, and we've talked about this before. Why I think it was a big mistake, but like all these publishers, Ubisoft, Take Two, 2K, EA, all of them are looking at Grand Theft Auto 6, hoping for them to do it. They want them to push the button to say, hey, a game can cost $100. Like, last year, I heard a bunch of like big Twitch streamers, which I won't name, like talking about how, yeah, you know what, I would pay $150 for GTA. Like, no, like people just want to give in. Like, look, this is my look on the situation when it comes to GTA. Is GTA 6 going to break all records known to man? Yes. But when I look at GTA 6, even if it can live up to the lofty expectations that franchise has, I'm going to play the 30-hour story and then move on to something else. So, like, why would I want to pay £100 for a game I'm going to finish in 30 hours? They can keep it at that point. It shouldn't be a penny over 70. And I'm saying this right now. People need to push back on this idea that game prices should go up. Game prices already went up to $70. £70. And even more if you live in Canada and Australia. Right? We're getting absolutely screwed. So, like, why are people okay with GTA? Because guess what? GTA is going to be the biggest game. But the next Ubisoft game in like next year, are they going to say, you know what, their game's different. We can't price our game that high. No, they'll price their game 100, as will Warner Brothers with their next game, as will Activision with Call of Duty. Like they all going to do it, and it really annoys the hell out of me that everyone's just letting this slide. People are okay with, yeah, I would buy that game because it's GTA. No, stop it. Right? Not on my watch, because it's going to start a snowball effect, and I will think this will cause I think it'll cause a crash. And like, the dumbest thing, right? People keep telling me like, oh no, but if less people buy it and the prices go up, they'll still make more money. It's like, I think that's a weird way of thinking about it. They're going to make less money. How many people at $70 say, you know what, I'm going to wait for a sale? If it's $100, you're not going to have people buying their kids maybe a game for the birthday or Christmas as much as they would. Like, not many people are going to be able to buy these games day one. And let me tell you, I love Grand Theft Auto. I've played Grand Theft Auto since the first one on PlayStation, or maybe the second one when it was top down. Let me tell you, if that game is £100, or if it's more than 70, I'm not buying it. Not happening. Like, One Take Two is a scummy company, and they are looking at all the reactions to this online. By the way, they are looking at everything everyone says, like looking at the comments on GameSpot talking about how the prices could go up, because they want to see if enough people are okay with it. Because you have normies that buy one game a year, and maybe it's Grand Theft Auto once every 10 years now. And like, that's going to be the game they buy and they play that year, and they're going to stick with it, and only that. And like, everyone listening right now, you buy multiple games a year. You play tons of games a year. So like, look at a scenario where all of these games you would normally buy and play are going to be $100. It's absolute lunacy. Lunacy. To go up from 70 to 100, it's crazy. Like, Logan, my thoughts absolutely killing. Like, I want you to talk about the whole pricing situation, because it feels like these companies are really pushing the idea of going up again. But like GTA, they will get away with it, but people aren't being vocal enough.
Yeah, like I'll I'll start off with what you said about tinfoil. Like, yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't think it's tinfoil at all. Like, for those who aren't as familiar in sports and, some of the other industries, like, people from companies and execs or agents or players and stuff will leak stuff to press to try to gauge interest in a hypothetical scenario, or a potential trade this, or price of this, or a roster move, or a staff change, all kinds of stuff, or a new initiative to gauge interest and gauge reaction. They 100% do that. Like, it is well known. So the idea of gaming execs doing, yeah, that totally seems brand on to me. And the fact that some people are actually championing the idea is just, I don't know. Mom always said, "Don't if you got nothing nice to say, don't say something at all." Like, there's, there is, I can't even come conjure like the right polite words to describe that kind of thinking and behavior. It is just ridiculous. Is the most polite way I can put it. It is just the idea of basically a near 50% price jump. Like, I know 30 isn't quite 50% of 70, but for sake of game math, say basically a near 50% jump in price to go from 70 to 100 for one game, and it's just the game. Period. Just end of story, the game. And try, like, dude, you can buy all kinds of stuff for $100 in gaming, like multiple games, a game and expansions, controllers, memory, all kinds of stuff. Hitting triple digits for just a base game is just out of this world nuts. It is Arkham Asylum inmates running the asylum behavior. And it's madness. And the idea of them being so greedy and bloodthirsty and profit driven to try to pull this, some companies will get away with it. Yes, they will, because they're who they are. And there's enough people that are simple minded enough about it that they'll just get suckered into it. But it's revolting, it's ridiculous, it's egregious, outrageous. The idea that you can basically half the price again of a game and just put it out there and skip like so many different incremental price differences. There's a reason why, like this is not to get political, and I promise this is the only thing I'm going to say about it. But in polls and stuff, a whole bunch of stuff about in the U.S., one of the top concerns was economy and inflation. Like clearly, people across different spectrums are concerned about how much things are costing. Period. You know, um, imports, exports, gas, food, utilities, gaming, whatever. And like at the end of the day, a normal rational person, if they have to choose between and they're on a tight budget, choose between, spending even more for one game versus taking some of their hard earned tight income elsewhere, especially when everything else cost, you know, insanely high right now, you better believe people are going to just tell gaming to take a flying flip and just kick rocks. Because, or, you know, Game Pass, a lot of people flock to Game Pass, even more people, even though people claim they don't like Game Pass. People are using it, obviously. More people flock to Game Pass. More people engage in game sharing, which, for those who don't know, there are some services and accounts that basically let you co buy with a friend or somebody some games and you share library or subscriptions and stuff. And, or wait for steep sales. Like, for example, I rarely buy a Ubisoft game day one, just on principle, because I know within a few months that sucker is going down by at least $20 or $30. It's like clockwork. It always happens. And the fact that if you have the balls to put $100 price tag on something, like, buddy, I think a lot of people are going to wait for a colossal sale on that if they jump in. I don't care if this game is the best thing since sliced bread. $100 just for the game, especially for a game that I would only play the campaign for and then just put up and leave, is just it it's obscene. And I think more people should grow a spine about it, and it's shameless how the media is almost championing and trying to push the idea that we should be pumping out even more money to these corporations for these products when frankly so many of these gaming companies have been putting flop and glitch and just trashware out there that doesn't even run half the time
Yeah.
lately. Like so many people don't even like or trust AAA gaming right now. Or one company to try to push the idea of $100 games on top of all this, you know, vibes out there in AAA gaming, I think it would lead to a crash, like you said. And one positive flip from that would be that more people would give more and more support and attention to some indie devs who do some creative things and they price their games in a, I know it's shocking, but a competitive way, in a smart way to get people in the door. And they're like, wow, this little small studio from Ontario I'd never heard of made a really cool game. I like it. It's creative, it's fun, it's different, and it didn't feel like I was being extorted to buy it and play it. So more and more of those games are going to make serious bank while these companies make 2 to 300 million dollar investment games and they flop because some wig in a back room in charge of financials had the balls to try to put it at $100.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was some weird rant, but
No, no, it's all good.
it's enough at this point.
Yeah. We have another super chat by Nick Wendland. Thank you very much for the $5. He says, the day that games go up to $100, I will stop playing new games and just play retro games. And, like, look, a lot of people will be
hmm
there with you. Like, I always replay games. Like, if I buy a game, I get my money's worth. Like, look, how many times have I replayed Mass Effect? But, like, I replay games a lot. Like, I do a yearly replay of the Gears of War games, The Witcher 2, like, games like that. And I refuse to call those games retro, though. I will die on that hill, but,
I'm
like,
on that hill too.
like, the price is going up. Like, so many people are just going to stop buying new games. And as he said earlier, like, these publishers complain when games don't sell, and then they put microtransactions in. Maybe they'll put a new, like, I bet £1,000,000 that the new Grand Theft Auto 6 has a battle pass.
Oh gosh.
Even though it will have shark cards, I 100% believe it'll have a battle pass, and they'll get away with it. And there's also a GTA Plus or whatever it's called, the subscription service. They're gonna get away with it. The main reason I'm being like this today is because in the past 24 hours, I've seen so many people give the idea of games going up again some slack. I'm just like, I've had enough. Right? I've hit my breaking point. I love gaming. My channel is covering gaming. This podcast is about gaming. The videos I make are about gaming and new releases and all that stuff. But let me tell you, if prices go up to that, $100, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not supporting an industry that does that to their fan base. Like, and they can't manage their own what? They can't manage their own budgets. The game prices going up isn't just because of graphics, isn't because of all that stuff. Like, it's because these studios, for every publisher, are hilariously mismanaged. Money goes into things that people don't care about. Like, people, like, I've seen games come out and you look at the credits and there's like 100 people playtesting. Those people that they paid, and then there's like 100 animators, and then I don't know. It's just like you have 20 studios that make Call of Duty. It's like the AAA landscape seems really unsustainable, and it's one of the reasons why I love AA games. They are
hmm
experimental. They actually are really fun. A lot of them don't even have microtransactions or battle passes. When you buy the game, it feels complete. And by the way, as someone that plays a lot of AA games, they don't release games broken. How many times have I bought a major AAA game that's cost like $300 million and it's been broken day one? Many times. But when I got RoboCop Rogue City, was it broken? No. Was Starship Troopers broken? No. Like, trying to think of any other like AA game. Terminator Resistance worked perfectly fine. AA games work.
Scars Edge was really good. There's a
Yeah,
bunch of good AA games out there, and honestly, I've been being completely honest, been preferring them to the vast majority of the AAA slop I've been getting lately. Just being honest.
yeah. I mean, I've gave this game a lot of coverage on the channel because it's so good. But like Everspace 2, that game is phenomenal.
Brilliant.
It's a AA, starfighter pilot RPG. Hard Space Shipbreaker, an excellent game that shouldn't work, but it does. The Zero G uh, Starship salvaging game. Like, AA games are interesting, and like I will just stay away from AAA games because one, they clearly don't care about us as consumers, and like, I don't even think it's tinfoil hat thing anymore. Like, these publishers are pushing analysts to push this stuff. $100 for a video game. It's a joke. It's a farce. Just wanted to bring that up because the like what I'm about to say hasn't been covered in the gaming media because I don't know. But like in the UK, video game prices that were, let's say, £37. I was getting new Call of Duty games for £37, new AAA games during the Xbox 360 generation. When the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 came around, everyone jumped their prices to £50. And then as a few years went on, like 2 or 3 years, they went to 55 and then 60. And then this generation, £70. £70, by the way, is $85. So, like, the idea that this industry wants us to go up again, it really annoys me because when prices went up in 2013, there was no news about it. Not a single article about game prices going up in the UK. And I just want to bring it up because, like, like you said, Logan, AAA slop. We normally refer to multiplayer as slop, but no, it's AAA slop at this point. Broken beyond belief, needing patches. Sometimes the updates are the size of the games themselves. And oh, by the way, here's £100 because that's how much we need to survive. And the goal, by the
Here's a
way,
yellow apology page.
yeah, and like the goal they have, by the way, that publishers are hoping GTA 6 is $100, quote unquote, to help the game industry. How? How is
That
that?
will kill the
Yeah,
industry.
like you're gonna have Ubisoft, EA, Warner Brothers looking at all these games that they have in development, such as Hogwarts Legacy 2, the next Batman game, BioShock 4, and all that stuff, and they are going to be looking at that $100, thinking, "Can we do that?" And I guarantee you're going to have some executive on the board at those publishers thinking not about the gamers and how they think, thinking about their wallets and stock options. Because at the end of the day, we are just numbers to them. And we need to be very vocal online, be it Twitter, Blue Sky, whatever. Be extremely vocal about these games not costing this much because I've spent tens of thousands of pounds on video games in my entire life. I will stop buying new games day one if this happens. Simple put. Anyway, we'll move on. I've been ranting about money, and I probably will in the future because who knows, it'll probably happen. Anyway, Logan, the developer direct is literally 2 days away. Now, there's a lot of eyes on this show. There's speculation about how many games are going to be there. I think Microsoft kind of messed up today because I turned my Xbox on and, that developer direct image was there, but it was a black image and there was space for 9 games. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know
Hmm.
if this image went up early and they weren't meant to. I haven't talked about this on Twitter yet. But they clearly messed up because there's an obvious there's there's a space for basically 9 games, and if they do the same like they did last year, there was meant to be 5 games, I believe, at the developer direct last year, and then they slid in a new tile during the show. Well, we already know there's one surprise. There's a big question mark, but there's still space for 9 games. Now, with me telling you that, Logan, what's your last minute predictions for the show? And I think we've lost Logan. Yep, we've lost Logan.
Oh, sorry. What did you say? Sorry, my computer glitched out for a second.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have space for 9 games to be announced there. But with that being said, what's your last minute predictions?
Okay. This might be like last stand on the Hopium Mountain, but I I don't know why, but I have this feeling that there will be something ABK or BC Call of Duty, something related of that ilk there. I think I think there's been enough noise and a bunch of expectations. A lot of people thought there would be this batch last year. For some reason didn't happen at that point. Maybe it was delayed. Maybe it never existed. I still think it did exist. But I think there will be something as a positive goodwill gesture at this show, aside from just quote new games. So I'll throw that as a prediction in there. I think there will be a goodwill thing or two in this showcase. I think as for the mystery Japanese game, I'll um I'll say there's more than one. Um I'll say the legendary game. I'll go with the current vibe seem to be in the wheel in the leader house seem to be Ninja Gaiden with a lot of stuff that's floating out there from various people. That makes sense, especially for an Xbox show, because Ninja Gaiden has been associated with Xbox since Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden Black on the OG Xbox. And there was a huge deal when Ninja Gaiden 2 and Razor's Edge finally hit BC or Xbox back in the day. So I think it's a perfect stage to reintroduce Ryu and a modern take on Ninja Gaiden. So I think that will be there. I think Final Fantasy will be there, and Square Enix in some capacity, whether it's 16 getting ported or crazier 7 being there. But I think Square is going to be there. I do think Square will be involved with this show, and I think there will be some other first party surprises that weren't expected there. Like maybe that MMO type RPG that you know Bethesda's been working on for years that we kept thinking was going to show up eventually. It seems like a good time for that to appear. I don't think the Oblivion remake will be there. But again, if that's supposed to come out in June, like rumors are saying, you gotta show it off eventually and pretty quickly. I mean, like that would be even pretty fast for Todd Howard standards of announcing Fallout 4 and oh yeah, by the way, it's out in 3 months. Like this would be cutting it kind of close. So I do think there's going to be goodwill stuff. I think there's going to be a noticeable, not just one Japanese presence and title. And I think the games we're going to get the date for Doom Dark Ages, which, if this French outlet is to be believed, and some others have corroborated, May 15th for Dark Ages for the release date, which it seems like a good date to me. A nice summer blockbuster,
Yeah.
bashing some skulls as the Slayer in this summertime. That sounds awesome. And I bet we get the release date for South of Midnight, and I believe April for that one would be my hunch. And I think maybe, just maybe, Obsidian has another little project hidden and that they might do something. They recently brought back their retro logo, which if you follow all these studios, they don't do things by accident. They know people are paying attention, and it's a retro font Obsidian logo that they haven't used in quite some time. I think that Obsidian is cooking something else. And they're already cooking like crazy right now. But I think they have one little hidden thing. That would be my prediction.
Yeah, I think we're both kind of like huffing the copium when it comes to, or hopium when it comes to the backwards compatible batch, because like we first heard about air quote more backwards compatible games coming like what year and a half ago. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Nick from Xbox era that may have mentioned something like that. But like we just want more Activision games. I'm again, I'm port begging for 15-year-old Transformers games. I literally have them sitting right here, sealed in plastic. I will buy them digitally. Like, just let me. But I think ever since the Activision deal happened, we just want to see more games added. Like, they have this treasure trove of superhero games where we don't know because of licenses, but come on, that would be good. And like you said, Logan, I think that they do need to have a goodwill gesture, because this time last year we saw what happened online. This year they need to start off the year with good news. Thankfully, it does look like that with game releases such as Doom. Like that, I 100% believe that game leak, because Doom in the Dark Ages, I think, was also listed as May in a Nvidia leak. I think it was Nvidia GeForce. Um,
Always believe the Nvidia leaks. They
yeah,
have been quite prophetic.
yeah, they've been spot on basically every single time. I do think there's going to be a bunch of Japanese games there. I 100% believe we will see an Atlas game there. It seems like, Atlas and Xbox, they have this closer relationship now. I believe Metaphor ReFantazio was announced on the Xbox stage. Uh,
It was indeed.
yeah, and I, look, Kingdom Hearts 4, that was announced with a 15 seconds of gameplay. I want to say 2 years ago. They've been super quiet since. There's not been a shred of anything when it comes to Kingdom Hearts. And I think with Xbox being, more buddy buddy with Square, I could totally see it happen. Final Fantasy, look, that's the big one for me. Like, yes, it's a 5-year-old game or something like that, but I think Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's the most requested game to come to the console. You know, there is a huge JRPG fan base on Xbox, and if people don't think people will buy it, look at how many people bought a delivery FedEx simulator, right? Where
Or the Crystal collection, or Pixel collection,
yeah,
excuse me.
yeah, crazy. But I think it's time. Like, for the longest time, we didn't know if it would come over, but just with everything Square Enix has been talking about, Rebirth is about to launch on PC. So, like, they have this 5-year-old game just sitting on servers somewhere, and, like, with the Switch 2 around the corner, I 100% believe we will see 7 announced this year, and it'll come out in a few months. I do think 16 could launch on Thursday. It just
Shadow Drop.
Yeah, shadow drop. That would be a perfect shadow drop, and it would be perfect advertising for it. This show is going to have a lot of eyes on it. Um, the announcement for Rebirth, I think, makes sense for next year, and I think maybe they'll announce that maybe the third game won't be exclusive. I think that's quite
That
a
would
possible
be
game.
a mic drop.
Yeah. Um. Now, when it comes to Elder Scrolls, I think, like you said, would it be ideal to have it on the show? Yeah, because it's apparently coming out in June, but I don't know. Something seems off. I 100% believe the game's happening. I've seen artwork that may be real, which I can't post,
Mhm.
but it just seems like too real. And by the way, that remake was also listed in a official leak from Microsoft in the FTC documents, so it is happening. But all in all, it's going to be a good show. A bunch of people have hinted at it. People from Microsoft keep telling people, like, you need to watch this show. So, excuse me. I think Xbox fans are really going to watch this show, and it is kind of funny that for the past several months people have been doom and gloom in Xbox, but, like, they have all these games in development. They have more partnerships with Japanese developers than ever before, and, like, Xbox gamers are getting a bunch of cool games soon, and it looks like Xbox's first half of this year is going to be front loaded. Like I said last week, I do think Fable is going to be Xbox's big holiday game, outside of Call of Duty. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great show. Again, Ninja Gaiden, like you said, I mean, it's kind of been all over the place. Boom's mentioned it a bunch of times. Excuse me. But yeah, I think that'll be it. I think it's going to be a good show. Now, when it comes to the whole Xbox and 2026 thing, it's kind of been all over the place, because I think Jez Corden from Windows Central and some other places have mentioned how Xbox has new hardware coming out next year. 6 years for a console generation, I think, is perfectly fine. I think we got too used to elongated generations with the 360 and the PS3. And, Microsoft this time, they decided not to do a mid-generation refresh with, like, a Pro console, or, I was going to say a Series X, but that's what we've got at the minute. But I think 2026 is completely realistic if you think about it. You look at all the advancement in AI technology when it comes to, like, DLSS and all that stuff, and I 100% see it happening next year. That gives people enough time to actually save up and get one. Xbox is definitely making new hardware, And what's really interesting is Xbox has never once denied the 2026 thing, and they've also never denied the handheld thing. When I have people from Microsoft liking my tweets talking about an Xbox handheld, that's kind of a sign. you know, Phil Spencer is always talking about handheld gaming, and like look at the handheld market at the minute. Like at CEX, almost everyone was showing off new PC hardware, and most of it was handhelds. Like PC hardware at these showcases have basically been GPUs and new kinds of cases for years, but this time it's handhelds. Handhelds have basically taken over, and even though I have mentioned in the past, like portable gaming isn't really for me because I mainly play on the couch, but you can't deny the audience out there that really wants a handheld. So, like, Logan, what's your thought on the whole Xbox coming out in 2026 with new hardware thing?
I 100% believe that 2026 is the year for new hardware. Whether it includes a handheld or not, I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on that one, but I think there will be at least one piece of next gen, quote unquote, hardware for Xbox next year. And whether they do the two SKU approach again or not, I don't know. My guess is they do a beefcake kind of beefed up like super powered console, and then the handheld. If they were to do two SKUs, that would be my guess. But maybe they end up with three SKUs and they have a S equivalent kind of just an entryway into next gen console, and then the beefcake one, and then the handheld. Don't know, but I do think there will be for sure powerful and handheld at some point, and at least one of them is coming next year. And yeah, I'll be day one for handheld, like 100%. Like I prefer on the couch gaming, even though I've got a computer that's technically a gaming PC. I really don't use it for gaming. I just wanted a cool computer, and I use my Xbox and PlayStation and Switch for gaming, and my LG Cloud device. And if whenever Xbox's handheld does come out, yeah, I will for sure be getting it.
Yeah, it just seems like the way Microsoft's going. I will say it is funny that people doom and gloom Xbox constantly, but yeah, every opportunity Microsoft's talking about hardware. So like, even though the gaming industry is in a, let's be honest, it's a weird point. It's not like 15 years ago where you know Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, they were all like in the same space, basically holding all their own games. But like PlayStation put a game out on Switch last year with the Lego Horizon. Like that was a weird move, and the price of these games going up. It's weird, but like Microsoft, they've committed to next generation hardware, next generation tech, and like I know people will doom and gloom and chat. Like it's rare it happens on this channel, but like these consoles, be it PlayStation, Switch, Xbox, or whatever, like these consoles cost billions to research and development. Actually getting the console out there in people's hands cost hundreds of millions. Then there's marketing for these consoles, like that's hundreds of millions of dollars. So, like, if people think the doom and gloomers, they think Microsoft's going to put out like new pieces of hardware and then just exit. I think is a bit of an over exaggeration. Like the industry's changing, we just have to deal with it. Be vocal about it in the best way possible, but yeah, I think people are going to be fine. And like, look, if Microsoft really was on the downturn when it came to consoles, you wouldn't have developers committing games to Xbox years out. You wouldn't have Japanese developers wanting to bring their games to Xbox more than ever. So I think that's like something people can just stop worrying about. But it just feels like every single day I open up social media and it's doom and glooming. Even though we've got a game showcase literally in 2 days, like it's going to be good. But yeah, 2026, I 100% see that as the new console release. When it comes to SKUs, I think Microsoft could be done with the Series S type console. in favor of the handheld. Uh, I think it just depends on the price. Because you can get a Steam Deck in the UK for like I think £450. Uh, I honestly don't know. Maybe Microsoft can get a handheld out for $400. It's a weird market at the minute. Because PC handhelds, I've seen them for like close to £1,000, but you can get them relatively cheap as well. So it just depends what Microsoft's doing. Maybe they don't even commit to ray tracing on their next handheld. That would be a way to like get
Would
past the. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna pose a question. Like,
Yeah.
would you be fine with a handheld next, like whenever they come out with one that's basically Series S specs or maybe slightly a little better, but it's next gen, but it allows you handheld? Or would you expect like another big step up for a handheld for next gen?
That's a good question because like next generation, we're obviously going to be dealing with AI stuff. Um, the consoles we have right now can do like DLSS type stuff with the FSR, but that's a good point. Maybe it could just be a portable S, and then that would be a lot cheaper because like if you played a game on the go, you don't really need that game to be rendering at 4K. You're gonna have a screen that's probably what 1080p. I think the Steam Deck is 800p. So like at the end of the day, I don't think handheld gamers really care about resolution.
It's
Uh,
the portability.
yeah. Look at the Switch 2, 1080p screen. I think that's perfectly fine. Uh, yeah. You know what? I think the S style handheld would work. I just think if they could get it out at a really good price, because I think how much is the Series S in the US? Is it still 300?
Um, I'd have to check. It's been a hot minute since I looked at an S price, but it is still significantly cheaper than an X. Here, let me ponder the shopping interwebs real
Because the price
quick.
in the UK like really fluctuates, but like when it came out, I think it was like 250 in the UK, which is kind of crazy considering it was a full next gen console. I mean, hell, you get 60 frames per second when you play things like Indiana Jones. Still, I believe. I mean, Death Stranding is 60 FPS on the thing, and that is a gorgeous game. But yeah,
Yeah, a Series S you can get for like let's look at a brand new one. Um, a brand new one's $299 for a Series S. At least at the digital edition, a Series S at GameStop would be $300. So, I mean, not bad. If you could get a handheld version of the Series S for $300 that natively plays your games like your library, that'd be sweet. I would definitely have interest in that.
yeah, I think that would do pretty well. But yeah, so I think I will say this: that I don't think Microsoft will announce the console a year in advance this time. I think they learned the hard way. Even though having it at the Game Awards was a really cool announcement, I just think a year, like you still want your console to sell. But yeah, that's it for today's show. Unless you've got anything else to cover, Logan.
Oh, there's one game that is kind of a little under the radar. I wanted to give a shout out that is going to come out the same day as the showcase, or maybe the day before. It's called Ender Magnolia. It is the sequel to Ender Lilies, which I consider a masterpiece Metroidvania game. It's made by a smaller Japanese studio, Binary Haze, I believe.
Oh yeah,
It's just incredible storytelling, emotion, characters, gameplay, innovation, explorability, like different endings, different abilities. Like it like music. It moved me in a way very few games have. And it was a smaller Metroidvania from a smaller Japanese studio, and they're going even bigger now with their sequel called Ender Magnolia, and it launches, I believe, the same day as the showcase, maybe the day before. But yes, definitely keep your eye out for that and give them a chance if you like Metroidvanias. I personally put my stamp of approval on it. I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this game ever since it got announced. And they were one of the first, smaller Japanese studios and devs to come to Xbox at a time when, frankly, not a ton of Japanese developers were on the platform when that game first launched. So that stuck with me as well. And so I think they're a studio and a game that more and more people should hype up and focus because they put quality out there, and it's the opposite of this AAA slop we were
Yeah,
talking about earlier.
yeah, good to know. I love Metroidvanias, and I think indie developers actually make the best ones. Um, but yeah, that's it for today's podcast. Now we would have actually went over because we still have a few topics left that weren't even in the headline. But as you may have noticed during the show, I've coughed non-stop. I've tried to cover my mouth. I am still very sick. Bronchitis is not good. Now, I should be a lot better by next Tuesday. So next week's podcast, we're probably actually going to go over 2 hours because we actually have a lot to talk about next week with all the new announcements and release dates and stuff. Also have another game review.
Xbox is dead.
Yeah, yeah. Xbox is dead next week as well. It should be a good time next week. But yeah, the links to our socials are in the description down below, which is on X. I hate calling X. Let's just call it Twitter.
It's Twitter. I'm going down with that shit.
Yeah, it's on Twitter. Both of our links are there. Everyone in chat has been amazing once again. Again, I apologize for the coughing in the background. I should be fine next week. Little anecdote for people: if you're feeling sick, like bronchitis sick to the point where you just want to walk into an oncoming bus, don't go for a multi-mile walk in -8 degrees. Bad.
Highly unrecommended.
Yeah, don't do that crap. It's awful. I literally feel like I've been hit by a bus and would welcome another one because my god. But anyway, should be better by next week. Now, when it comes to the channel, if everything goes according to plan, the big video I've been working on for 2 months is hopefully out tomorrow. I hope you all enjoy it. It's taken a long time to put together, but if you like Xbox and games coming out, you're gonna want to pay attention to this video. But yeah, I hope everyone will enjoy it. It's been fun making it. I have a bunch of videos coming out soon. Getting back to weekly content has been something I've wanted to do for a very long time, and it looks like I'm actually going to do that. If everything goes according to plan, I should have 3 videos on the channel in the next week. It should happen. Anyway, we're back the same time next week. In fact, depending on what's announced on Thursday's show, I might go a little bit early just so talk to people in chat, then we can start the show at normal time. I've been talking about this green room idea for a while. I'm rambling now. Anyway, I hope everyone stays safe out there. Be well, and we'll see you next week. And we're done.